Section 2, Spending. Topic 1, Budgeting. So, budgeting is very important and is generally split into two major categories, short-term and long-term goals. So, the budget can help people achieve their financial goals by allocating their income to necessary versus desired spending, to savings, and philanthropy. So, the short-term financial goals are usually things like buying a car, a short-term education, like if you're going to pay for a course, or a vacation that you're going on, possibly even a big gift that you were willing to buy. And then long-term goals are things like buying a house, retiring, or sending children to college. Generally, it can be thought of as things that are more than a year, more than a few years. And then here's an example budget. Essentially, it just breaks down all the money going through the account. It helps you look back at it and understand where the money is going, and it helps you allocate the money better. And then adjusting a budget is very important because in emergencies, it is good to stay out of debt. So it's advised to prioritize paying the debt first, and then to cut necessary expenses, to increase the income if it's possible. Generally, people will be doing these things anyways, but you have to do this more aggressively in the case of an emergency. And automating savings and emergency funds allows people to have money on the rainy days, which are just the emergencies. By adjusting a person's spreadsheet or budget app in times of trouble, risk can be reduced a lot. So here are some example budgeting tools. There's Pocket Guard. People like Pocket Guard and Rocket Money because they're both very simple. And in a good budget way, people love it for its ability to kind of bring in people that are new to budgeting and teach them about it, because it kind of teaches you as you go. And then all these tools, they're just ways of helping you budget because most people will have a hard time when they're first starting out.
So, spending is defined as money or financial resources expended by a person, group, or government. How consumers make decisions. So let's take an example of a Tesla car. So when a consumer buys a Tesla car, there are a couple of key factors that they need to consider. So the two factors are price of the product and price of alternatives. So starting off with price of product, if you compare a Tesla car compared to most gas alternatives, you realize that a Tesla tends to cost more upfront. But on the flip side, government incentives and tax credits may lower the effective price because the government wants to push people using more electric vehicles. Another factor to consider is the price of alternatives. So gas-powered vehicles, when you first buy the car, they often appear to have lower initial costs. However, if you factor in maintenance costs, gas prices, engine repair costs, brake repair costs, or whatever costs that only gas vehicles have compared to Tesla cars, you realize that it's more expensive in the long run compared to a Tesla. There are also other considerations, such as a consumer's budget and preferences, environmental impact, social and economic impact. So obviously, if a customer can't afford a Tesla, there's really no point of marketing it to them because at the end of the day, they're just not going to buy the Tesla. And there's also the environmental impact because many consumers tend to be environmental conscious nowadays, especially as the government wants to push consumers using more environmental friendly vehicles. So this is a factor that would push consumers to buy a Tesla. And then there's also social and economic impact. Obviously, consumers want to help the government contribute to clean energy goals and reduce dependency on fossil fuels. The next topic I'm going to cover is how to make an informed decision as a customer. So before I explain all of this, the whole point of teaching a customer how to make an informed decision is that the customer would be able to avoid impulse buying. So impulse buying is defined as the buying of goods without planning to do so in advance as a result of a sudden whim or impulse. So the reason this is bad is because customers tend to buy things on the spot as a whim and it's not in advance, it will simply just misalign with your budget and you'll start having a bunch of useless expensive, useless products that you're purchasing, which is really bad for the customer in the long term. Because if you were to keep up this impulse buying habit, they'll simply just hurt your finances in the future. So that's why you should make an informed decision as customers so you avoid all of these hazards in the future. So the first step that you need to do is understand your needs, identify why you would want the product and service, and how you would use that product or service in the future. Focus on practical solutions aligned with your goals. So obviously, if you don't have a product or service that doesn't align with your goals or tasks, there's no reason to have it. It's just a waste of money and a waste of space. So the second step you can do is do research of other options. So compare products or services with its competitors and read reviews and explore features. This step is incredibly important to read reviews and features because if you don't have the correct product or an effective product that suits your goals, you again just wasted money and you wasted the most important currency of all time, which is time. And then the third step is to set a budget. So this ensures affordability and it would prevent the customer from doing any overspending, which would hurt their finances in the future, and account for ongoing costs. So obviously some products it isn't just a one-time offer or one-time purchase. There's also maintenance with it, like with cars, or subscriptions, like with Netflix subscriptions or Disney Plus subscriptions that you need to pay for in the future. So there are also other steps, such as considering external impacts. So just like assess its environmental, societal, and economic effects. So environmental, like obviously if you choose like a gas car or like a truck, for example, that environmentally is pretty bad because of all the emissions it produces. So you can just be like mindful of that. You can also evaluate long-term benefits and risks. So obviously in the long term, if a product is not there to suit your long-term needs, there's no point of having it, such as renting a car versus buying a car. If you don't need the car in the long term, you just want to rent the car, then you can do that because you'll be potentially saving a lot of money. And also there's streamlining. The next step is streamlining the decision-making process. So if you followed all of these steps, then you'll just have much of informed, thoughtful, and responsible purchases, which will better the consumer in the long term. Okay, positive and negative effects of consumer decisions. So let's take the example of plastic bottled water. So when you purchase plastic bottled water, or you just look at the concept as a whole, there's a couple of aspects you need to consider. And the first one being environmental, second one being societal, and third one being economic. And if you compare the positive and negative effects, you would get this chart as shown here. So some positive effects of not using plastic bottled water would be you reduce plastic waste in landfills, you would lower the demand for single-use plastic production, which would in turn decrease emissions. But if you look to the negative effects side, you realize that manufacturing those reusable alternatives would simply just create more emissions because there's more resource extraction that's required. And also, for the disposal part, improper disposal of the reusable waters would simply just create more trash and more landfill. So in a sense, you're not solving for your waste problem in the first place. And then you take the societal impacts. So if a bunch of people stop using plastic bottled water, then that will sort of catch on as a trend, and other people may stop using plastic bottled water. So it would promote eco-consciousness. And also, it also promotes health because there's some health concerns with disposable plastics and the toxins from disposing those plastics. But if you look at the negative effects, not using plastic would simply just impact the low-income communities because reusable bottles will be really expensive. And also, if you were to get off plastic bottles, then it would simply just hurt a bunch of people because the society may not be ready to accept that change yet. If you take the economic issues, then sure, not using plastic would support businesses because they would have to start using sustainable and durable goods, which saves money for them, but also it would impact them negatively because using plastic alternatives would just be more expensive and it would be costing businesses more and more and more. Facts to consider when buying durable goods. So for durability, you should assess how long the product will last under normal use. If the product doesn't last very long, then that should be a sign to not buy the product. There's also maintenance costs, like I mentioned with my car example. There's also expenses for repairs, servicing, and upkeep for most products. So if the maintenance cost, if you simply just can't pay for those maintenance costs, then there should be another reason why you shouldn't buy the product. There's also the features. So you should know the functionality, the reliability of the brand, and the technological integration. If all those three things, A, benefit the product, and B, benefit you, then that should be a reason why you should buy the product. So an example of this would be a refrigerator purchase. So if you compare the refrigerator to other refrigerators, you should compare the energy efficiency, because if the refrigerator doesn't have any energy efficiency, then the electricity bills would simply just skyrocket, go through the roof, and there's no point of buying the refrigerator if the benefits don't outweigh the harms. There's also the storage capacity. So if you don't have a lot of space in the house, then you should opt to go for a smaller refrigerator. And also this is really important, it would be reviewing warranty terms for protection. So obviously if the refrigerator gets damaged, if the refrigerator gets damaged within like the early stages of use, then you should invest in warranty terms. So what a warranty term is that there is a set of years, or in a set of time, if a product gets purchased within that set of time and you pay for the warranty, then you can automatically get a new product, a new unbroken product, because you paid for that warranty. So you should definitely invest in warranty purchases for products like for most electronic products. Okay, costs and features of competing products. So we have 3 different products on the slide, and it's back to my refrigerator example. So the first product is a high efficiency refrigerator. It costs $1,500. Some of its features are Energy Star certified, advanced cooler technology, and a 10-year warranty. Its environmental impact is that it has low energy consumption, which means it decreases its carbon footprint. The second product is a mid-tier refrigerator. Costs $1,200. Some of its features are standard cooling, moderate energy efficiency, and a 5-year warranty. Environmental impact, moderate energy usage, fewer eco-friendly materials. Third product is budget refrigerator, brand C. Costs $900, features basic cooling, no energy certification, 3-year warranty. Environmental impact, it has a higher energy usage and a shorter lifespan compared to which contributes to more waste. So if you go to the next slide and put it all on one chart, so we have the brand A, brand B, brand C. So for brand A would be, since it costs more initially, it would be for buyers that have that affordability and also are very eco-conscious and quality focused. Then brand B, it's for consumers that do believe in eco-consciousness but don't have that budget, so it's sort of like in between. It has the balanced impact. And for brand C, it's for very low budget consumers and for consumers that just simply can't afford eco-consciousness, and comparing it to like it's the value of the refrigerator. So it's more for short-term needs rather than long-term efficiency. Okay, so here are some retail price advertising techniques. So there's a couple of techniques. The first one is price tagging. So the way it works is it's pretty simple, straightforward. It just like labels the exact price of the product, and then you have sales promotions, which are discounts, buy one get one free offers, holiday sales. So that's pretty common, especially around Black Friday or some Cyber Monday deals. Then you got psychological pricing. So the way that works is that instead of rounding, if a product costs $10, or if a product costs $10, they would sort of like round it down to $9.99. So you would like get the impression that you're saving like a cent, or you're saving like some amount of money. In reality, it's just like it's really just 1 cent. You're not really causing that much of saving. And then you have dynamic pricing, which like the prices like fluctuates based on supply and demand. So the good example of this would be like if you want to book a trip to like Hawaii, for example, but you start booking the trip earlier, like much in advance, then the seats cost less. However, compared to when you book the trip like closer to your vacation where the seats cost more. And then there's bundling options, which just combines like products at a discounted price. So like a good example of bundling products would sort of be like when you want to buy like a keyboard, but then like the company bundles headphones and a mouse along with that keyboard for an extra price. Okay, the next topic is inflation and negotiation. So you may think that inflation and negotiation are two different ideas, but in reality they're actually pretty closely aligned. So starting off with inflation, what inflation basically is that higher inflation raises the cost of goods and services over time, which reduces your purchasing power. Consumers may prioritize like essential items over and seek like more discounts in order to maintain their budget because of inflation, so they can avoid overspending. And then there's negotiation. So what negotiation basically is that bargaining. It's like bargaining, which can lower the cost and increase the consumer satisfaction. So a good example and a really good time to use negotiation is when you try to buy cars. Like most of the time, car companies will mark the car upwards, like market like $5,000 more than the actual car is worth, and it's up to the consumer to decrease and negotiate and decrease that markup price. The next topic is avoid impulse buying through research. Like I said before, it's best to research the product or service that you want thoroughly. Make sure you focus on the quality, price, and the long-term value rather than just like the short-term value, the gratification, because at the end of the day, if it's not something that you can use long-term or it's not something that you can enjoy, then there's really no point of having it and you're just wasting your money. So some types of research strategies that you can use is using comparison websites. You can also read expert and user reviews, check manufacturer and third-party certifications, and seek advice from trusted individuals or communities. So you can use comparison websites, like if you go to Amazon, or if you go to just go to Amazon, look at the reviews, see the star rating, see the actual written reviews. I think that's the most overlooked part. When customers purchase items, they never see the actual written reviews, so it's best to look at those reviews. Also go on YouTube, look at those tech experts and read and watch those reviews. You can also so seeking advice from trusted individuals. So I feel like this is more applicable to like services like insurance. So it's best to ask individuals or communities about insurance, like health insurance, car insurance, house insurance, so you can get the best deal for your house and get the best protection.
Let's talk about social media marketing techniques. Starting off with number 1, influencer endorsements. Influencer endorsements build a lot of trust and excitement. So starting off, what is an influencer considered as, right? They're usually someone with a large following on across a lot of social media platforms like Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, etc., right? And they have a really large following amongst these platforms. These followers really trust the influencer and they value the influencer's recommendations. In other words, if there was a brand advertisement and the influencer was to mention that brand or that service or product, the followers would more likely trust the influencer because to them, the influencer's recommendation matters more than the brand and whatever they're saying, right? And so because of the followers' strong and loyal following, it really ups the sales. So that's a great social media technique. The second one is limited time offers. Limited time offers create a lot of urgency. And really quick, limited time offers can mean like discounts, exclusive products, or special bundles. And they create a sense of urgency as customers are more intrigued to purchase it before the deal is out because they don't want to miss out on the deal, right? And it's really effective as it focuses a lot on the urgency, psychology and all that. And it also plays into scarcity. So because there's a demand and there's a short supply, customers are more entailed to buy these products. And then the final one is targeted ads. And targeted ads use consumer-based behavior data to suggest products likely to appeal to that consumer. And so how it basically works is that data from the consumer, from their social media platforms or on the app itself and all that is tracked, such as their purchase history, interests, age, online behavior, and so on. And then the ads basically are designed to show products or services that follow that same trend or pattern from the data. So, for instance, if a consumer has shown interest to fitness equipment, they might see an ad for a new exercise machine. The more relevant the ad, the higher chances of conversion. And this is really effective is because if you're following a consumer's pattern and he shows something in their interest, they're more likely to look into the item and purchase it, rather if it's a more general item for the whole public, as this is a personalized item for the consumer's interest. And these are three social media marketing techniques that are proven to be very effective.